Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've got a dog, you already know the drill. Keeping your furry best friend clean can sometimes feel like a daunting, incredibly messy chore. It's so easy to just treat it like another annoying task on your weekend to-do list. But what if we could totally transform that tedious chore into a vital, completely stress-free routine? Well, today, we are going to do exactly that. We're walking through a clear, 7-step process straight from our source material to show you how the right approach doesn't just keep your rugs clean, it literally keeps your pet healthier and happier.
So let's just jump right in with a super simple question. What would you say is the absolute most important step in dog grooming? You might think it's the bath itself, right? Getting the mud off. But you might actually be surprised to learn that according to the experts, the real answer is brushing. Yep, brushing is your critical first line of defense because it stops tangles before they even start, sweeps away loose dirt, and perfectly sets the stage for a healthy coat. Here's how we're going to break down this journey today. We'll kick things off with why grooming matters, then we'll dive into coat care from brush to dry, tackle those tricky, detailed areas like paws and ears, and finally go over professional grooming options. All right, Section 1. Why grooming matters. Building bonds and health. Let's look at why this whole process is actually about way more than just getting your dog ready for a beauty pageant. What's super fascinating here is how regular grooming is basically a built-in early warning system. Sure, it develops a healthy skin and coat, and it absolutely helps control those, funky smells we all tolerate. But look at that second point. It lets you identify parasites and infections the second they appear. It is literally preventative healthcare. And on top of the physical benefits, dedicating this focused, quiet time establishes a massively stronger, stress-free connection between you and your dog.
And if you're sitting there wondering exactly how often you should be doing this to reap all these benefits, our source's FAQ section has the answer: every 4 to 6 weeks. Now, obviously, that's going to flex a bit depending on your dog's specific breed and coat type, but consider 4 to 6 weeks your golden rule of thumb for consistent care.
Moving right along to Section 2, Coat Care, Brush to Dry. Let's see how this builds into the first major phase of our routine.
Okay, here are the first 3 steps of our little at-home spa day. Step 1 is brushing. Making this a daily or weekly habit gets rid of dust and loose dirt, and the source makes it clear that this is an absolute must for long-haired breeds to stop matting. Step 2 is bathing. You're going to want lukewarm water and a strictly dog-friendly shampoo. And please rinse them thoroughly so there's zero itchy residue left behind. Then Step 3 is drying, and you've got to make sure that coat is completely dry.
Now, hold on, because the source throws out a really surprising warning about that bathing step. Overbathing actually has a drying effect on their skin. It's kind of counterintuitive, right? You'd assume constant washing equals peak cleanliness, but bathing them too often just strips away all their natural moisture. Moderation is absolutely key here.
And speaking of drying, it is definitely not a one-size-fits-all situation. You have to match the method to the mud. Towel drying is perfectly fine for short-haired dogs, but if your pup has a thick coat, blow drying on low heat is 100% necessary. Why are we so obsessed with getting them dry? Well, because leaving a dog damp, especially when it's chilly outside, is practically an open invitation for fungal infections. Yuck.
All right, Section 3, the details, paws, ears, and teeth. We're transitioning away from the main coat and getting into those highly sensitive, often dreaded details.
These final 4 steps, they require a ton of patience. Step 4 is nail trimming, which actually physically improves how your dog walks by stopping discomfort. Step 5 is ear cleaning to block that gross wax buildup. Step 6 is toothbrushing to support their overall immune health. And Step 7 is the final trim around those super sensitive spots, the eyes, the paw pads, and sanitary areas. It's all about ensuring their daily comfort.
Let's zoom in on those nails for a sec, because I know this is where so many of us get a little sweaty. For beginners, the source emphasizes grabbing the right clippers and only snipping off tiny amounts at a time. Trim small portions to avoid cutting the quick, which really hurts them. You've got to remember to constantly reward your dog with treats during this step to crush their anxiety and keep the whole vibe positive.
Moving to the other hidden areas, the source points out that we are wildly overlooking dental care. We should be brushing their teeth a few times a week with doggy toothpaste to crush bad breath and reduce plaque. And for ears, huge red flag here. Never insert anything deep into the ear. Just gently wipe the surface with cotton and a vet-approved cleaner. Keep it strictly on the surface to prevent those hidden infections.
Which brings us to Section 4, Professional Grooming Options. Because honestly, sometimes the absolute best tool in your kit is knowing exactly when to hand the brush over to a pro.
Look, if the DIY route is starting to feel completely overwhelming, you've got options. At-home grooming demands consistency, crazy patience, and highly specialized tools. But professional spots, like Crazy Pets in Abu Dhabi, which our source specifically highlights, offer expert groomers, top-tier hygienic practices, and a totally stress-free environment. They use high-quality products tailored to specific skin sensitivities, so your dog feels completely comfortable from start to finish.
Whether you're rolling up your sleeves for these 7 steps at home or booking an appointment with the pros, this quote right from the source perfectly sums up our explainer today. With proper technique and consistency, grooming can become a stress-free routine for both you and your pet. It just proves that with a little effort and education, we can totally eliminate the anxiety around hygiene care.
So I want to leave you with one final question to really chew on. Is your grooming routine building a stronger bond, or are you just quickly cleaning up a mess? I highly encourage you to use the 7 steps we laid out today to transform your pet's maintenance from a stressful chore into a real health-boosting ritual. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and hey, here's to healthy, happy pets.